Will job losses crash house prices? Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at this article from news.com.au, written by Tarek Brooker, who's discussing, asking the question, how housing prices will be affected by COVID job losses. Will they crash prices, one may ask. Now, yesterday, I went shopping. I don't go shopping that often. I actually went to the shopping center. I had to return a digital camera I bought a few days ago, if you've watched any of my stories. And that's probably why my webcam quality is dropping down. I don't recommend, if you're a streamer or creating content, I don't recommend buying the new Logitech Super, streamer camera, because it uses another piece of software between your streaming software and this, and it crashes. Don't get it. There's my Florian's review. But I was going around, and I took Mina. She went with me, and because she was only one kid, we went and got a hot chocolate, and she managed to get a bigger yogurt out of me from Aldi than normal, and we had a good time. But it was very busy. It was quite busy. It didn't feel like a recession. I think it would be closer to a normal Saturday. I was asking people in the shops, how is it going? They're going, yeah, no, it's fine. Busy, picking up, flat out. There you go. The coffee shops, they were saying, we weren't really affected that much by any of the lockdowns. People are still addicted. I think they sell beans as well. So let's have a look at this, because it seems, there have been predictions of property falling, 40% from the RBA. They did an investigation. The banks were saying 10%, up to 30%, then 5%. It's all over the place. Now, the problem we have here is, government intervention into the market. We don't have a free market. Don't kid yourself to anyone telling you that the problems are with the free market, because we don't really have a completely free market. We've got special interest groups lobbying government to get, perks for their special interest, and that happens on all sides of politics. Now, property is a big part of Australia. We're obsessed with property, guys. About over 50%, 57% the last time I checked of our wealth is in property. We dig stuff out of the ground, we educate people, we have tourists, and we flip houses. That's what we do. We're property obsessed. Now, at the moment, we're in a unique situation because you have JobKeeper. Government is propping up a whole lot of businesses. And sure, that's been cut back. It's been cut back, and the conditions to enter it have been cut back. But only recently, so we haven't felt any of the impact of that yet. It's going to take some time if that will have an impact on house prices before it'll work through. We have Job Seeker, which has been increased. Changed from the New Start allowance, and now there's a bonus. So that's been cut back as well. But again, it'll be time until we see the ramifications of that. We have trading while insolvent, which has been extended till the end of the year. And that's the thing that really scares me more than anything. It means if I issue an invoice to another business that I'm working for, they can just not pay for 6 months, and I've got no real recourse. It's a bit of a joke. It really is. The average punter won't appreciate how dangerous that is to an economy. It is, it's going to destroy business confidence. You'll want to get paid up front, and it'll cause issues. Now, we also have the bank holidays. They've been extended once again. So people have loans that maybe they can't afford, that they don't need to pay. So these are, they're propping up the market. They're supporting the market. While we have other factors, pushing down on the market. We've got a lockdown in Victoria where people still have restricted freedoms. And yet their uptake of home builders scheme to get into housing is the biggest in the entire country. And, what's going to happen when these schemes reach an end and the government, and people start crying for more? We need more support, more stimulus, more this. Are we going to have a W-shaped recovery? Are we getting a little bounce up? We're going to have a bounce down again, and then it'll come up when the stimulus will be removed. Will there be the political will to remove the stimulus? Will Labor start promising all of these things to keep it going? And is it just going to be the beginning? And then will we see inflation start to be impacted by it? If you're waiting for the government to pull the stimulus to allow the housing market to correct, is that going to happen? Is it smarter to invest in something else of real value and see if we get inflation? And then that will drive up your purchasing power. I mean, I went to Macca's. I go like once a year. I get the urge to eat some utter junk food. And I tell you, if you have a Big Mac with 6 meat patties in there, it actually tastes reasonable. Tastes reasonable, but it's completely breaking the keto rules and the carnivore rules. I know. But sometimes you just, do it. I was shocked at how expensive it cost before I did all my add-ons to the meal. I guess I always remember, Big Mac meal at $3.95. But now it's over like $14 for a medium one. So don't tell me we're not getting inflation, guys. Don't tell me that's not starting to manifest out there. So we'll have to see. So let's have a look at what Tarek has written here, because I suspect he's looking at both sides of the different arguments, because you've got some are arguing that no, property is gonna fall. We're gonna have a deflationary impact on property prices. Others are just going all in. We're gonna have another boom. We've got some arguing that we're gonna have a boom in the current situation we have. And I mean, logically, you don't think it'll happen, but we are living in such a clown world right now. Maybe we will. But then if property booms, what else will boom? Will precious metals boom as well? Will the value of the Australian dollar tank? We can't predict it because the government can come in and just change the rules. They can change the rules. Who would have anticipated nearly a year of not having to pay your mortgage if the economy gets into trouble? Was that on the cards? I don't recall considering that when I went and took out my home loan. So, as barbecues across our great southern land, there is one topic of conversation that defines Australian life: house prices, or housing prices. Yes, 100%. He's right there. That's what everyone talks about. When we meet with the neighbor, we're talking, she's worried about house prices going down because she wants them to shoot back up again. I mean, we've got a cash rate, guys. It's insane. I can understand why people are jumping in now. It's so cheap to borrow money. Right now, because we're preparing for our construction, so I've taken some money off my mortgage, my payments I put ahead, and even with that done, I'm still paying less than I was paying in rent for a house in the closer to the city 10 years ago. Okay, I'm still paying less than that, so it's just crazy. Can they go to negative rates? Can they go to negative rates? Will they? Will we start getting monthly digital currency payments to go onto our mortgage? Or maybe we'll get digital currency in our digital wallets like the Bank of China is trying, that you can only spend in certain places. And just think about it. I know this is off topic from this, but with these digital currencies that are starting to roll out, what if only certain businesses that agree to certain ideological positions can accept them, are allowed to accept them? Can you see? Oh boy, the potential there, the potential. So, frankly, it's not surprising. In decades past, simply buying a property in the right area and holding onto it for long enough could quite literally net the owner more in capital gains per year than they earn from working. And he's right there. He is right. He's right. It's ludicrous when you see that. When you're just working away, slaving away, particularly in this climate here in Australia, trying to push up a business, it's challenging. It's challenging. And then, oh, look, we made more from our house that we don't spend any time in because we're always at work. Yeah. On the other side of the coin, first home buyers have increasingly been priced out of the market, with many hoping for a price correction to a more reasonable level. As the pandemic and its aftermath continue to unfold across the globe, economists and property market observers are widely divergent on what will happen to house prices in coming years. Recently, some economists have become far more positive on the direction of property prices. Forecasting teams at both Westpac and Commonwealth Bank are now predicting a strong price growth in the latter half of 2021 after relatively limited price falls of 5 to 6% across the nation. See, this needs to be seen as what it is. It's inflation. It's inflation. Well, it depends. The traditional definition of inflation is an increase in the money supply, and then increase the prices is the new modern interpretation of it. But then again, houses aren't counted in it properly. Sydney property industry insider Edward Almeida of Ribbon Property Consultants has a quite different viewpoint. From what my colleagues and I are seeing at a grassroots level, there are some areas where prices have already fallen 10 to 15%, and there are quite large gaps between a vendor's asking price and what they actually get on the day, said Almeida. The market is quite a weak underlying foundation, and while some areas are strong in others, most of the pain for the market is still yet to come when JobKeeper and the insolvency moratorium finish up next year. I keep saying memorandum whenever I encounter moratorium. I don't know what it is. I mean, yeah, that's right. He's right there. I agree with him there. Will they let it? Well, what happens if they just kick it down the road for another 6 months, another 3 months, another 12 months? I mean, hey, why wouldn't they? They're government. They'll do whatever they want. Because we remember, and he's right, there have been 10 to 15% hits. A lot of it is in the apartment market. So if you start seeing, here's the question, if we start seeing property plunge in apartments, could that mean people get worried and more of them dive into houses? And we'll start to see an increase in housing there. Some desirable areas have something of a floor under prices, but overall, the many downside factors are too severe for the market to overcome, and I expect prices to fall over the next couple of years. As we head into an uncertain future, there are will prices fall if government just doubles the homeowner grant to $100,000? You know, all new buyers get $100,000 in digital currency spent in this area. As we head into an uncertain future, there are 6 key factors at play within the Aussie property market. The first 3 point to the possibility of a surprise property price bust. Would it be a surprise? While the remainder suggest the remaining 3 suggest we're heading for an unexpected boom. So let's look at the cases against prices rising. So reversing migration. In the recent federal budget, it was revealed net overseas migration would be in reverse until 22-23 financial year, with 72,000 people set to leave in 2021 and 22,000 set to leave in 21-22. While more people leaving Australia than arriving in the next 2 years, this would leave the property market with almost 633,000 fewer participants. At the national average of 2.6 persons per household, this would remove demand for approximately 243,000 properties at a time when the construction industry is building far too many new homes for local demand to absorb. Okay, so they're right, this is a concern. Well, they can juice it. Will they juice it up? That's the question. Will they say, oh no, migration is down. Okay, we need to get more people in. Everyone who migrates to Australia gets $100,000. Okay, it may sound fanciful, but look at everything that's happened this year, guys. Look at everything that's happened. Can you see them doing stuff like that to keep property going? Then it'd be quite clear that they're selling out the younger generations here, and even the children of migrants are getting screwed over. You know, I can see that happening. I don't want to see it happen, but I can. Rising unemployment. With NAB Chief Economist Alan Oster forecasting unemployment to rise to 10% by early next year, there are concerns that the extremely high number of unemployment may eventually result in forced sales. Data from the Reserve Bank shows housing turnover near record lows, and with the property market still suffering from lower transactions due to the pandemic, it wouldn't take many unemployed homeowners potentially being forced to sell to place downward pressure on property prices. And yes, that's an issue. Because remember, the value of your house isn't what you bought it for. It isn't what you bought it for. It's what someone is willing to buy it for. What someone is willing to buy it for. And your house is worth affected by the last sale in your street, the last sale in your suburb. It all comes together. But what we can see here, what the banks will do, okay, well, you're unemployed, interest-only payments. Interest-only, we'll be nice in that you do that. You just try and sell it, as you can. Slow it down, drag it out. And here's the housing turnover rate. And the other thing here with the insolvencies are at a lower level. They're about 60% of where they should be. Businesses aren't going insolvent, guys. So, loan referrals expiring. According to the latest figures from the banking regulator APRA, there are more than 393,000 mortgages currently deferred, along with 205,000 small and medium business owners, many of which are secured against a business owner's home. In a survey performed in July for Rate City, 28% of households with loan deferral said they won't or didn't know if they could resume their repayments, and 25% said they would consider selling their property. See, there you go. I mean, all of these things, they sound terrible, like they could have a huge impact. And the only way I can see them not crashing property prices is drastic, unnatural government intervention. Can you see anything else that would affect that? But the problem is we're now living in a world where there's a precedent for that. We've got a conservative government that is going to the point where they're racking up $1.1 trillion of debt. Where businesses are going to get credits left, right, and center. They're doing everything they can to keep the market going on. But they're going to create more of a problem. So, because honestly, I think price corrections in property would help a lot of people. A lot of people will get hurt, a lot of people will get burned, but a lot of people will be able to afford a home. Who has more political power? I think there's definitely a huge divide in wealth here in Australia. I think it's exacerbating. I think it's going to grow. So, end of responsible lending obligations. Case for house price rises. Recently, the Morrison government announced it intended to scrap the responsible lending obligations contained with the National Consumer Credit Protection Act. While these changes are still required to pass through Parliament before potentially being put in place in March next year, the removal of the responsible lending legislation is already creating a sense of anticipation among some property market commentators. Despite concerns the changes could encourage risky lending, the overall response from much of the property sector has been one of hopeful optimism that the changes will drive housing prices higher. Housing prices higher. I don't really think it'll have that much of an impact, to be honest, either way. I think the banks are still going to be quite rigorous in their risk assessment process. You'd hope. I mean, there are people that fudge and BS on these things. I mean, that's just how it happens. We'll have to see. I mean, because some of the things they were asking were just ludicrous. You know, there needs to be individual responsibility again. I know everyone wants the government to take care of all your responsibilities and just relax and not worry. But there needs to be individual responsibility. So lower interest rates. With interest rates at record lows and forecast to go even lower at next month's Reserve Bank meeting, borrowers have been able to secure increasingly large loans relative to what may have been possible last year or even pre-coronavirus. CBA's head of Australian economics, Gareth Arad, recently stated lower interest rates would be the main fuel in the sharp rebound in property prices CBA are now forecasting. Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, guys, I mean, we got our house really cheap. But I'm paying less now than I was paying rent 10 years ago in Brisbane. That's from my own anecdotal example. So people are jumping in. Will they be able... I know there's people concerned that they'll be able to lift up the cash rate. I don't know if they can anymore. Could they do it in the US? What happened when they tried to normalize rates in the US? The market said no. By that I mean the stock market slapped them. Bad Reserve Bank. So, further government intervention. And this is what I think will happen in the game. The government will just do whatever they can to keep housing propped up. It's no secret that the Morrison government would prefer housing prices to continue to remain high. And despite the challenges presented by the pandemic, this appears set to continue. The proposed removal of the responsible lending obligations is likely just the first tool of many the Morrison government may potentially use in order to arrest a significant fall in home prices should one occur. Policies such as first home owner grants and other new initiatives would likely be under consideration by the Morrison government should property prices falls accelerate amid a struggling economy. Yeah, that's the thing. We now know they're an interventionist government, even more so than anticipated. They can never again, the LNP can never again criticize Labor for their insane spending back in the GFC. They can't now. It's all out the window. So now we have two governments that are both addicted to spending. You're going to have a population that are crying out for it. You'll have the 60-minute stories of people who borrowed too much and are going under. Oh, give me a mortgage keeper. We'll see mortgage keeper, I bet you. Oh, I hope not. So balance of factors. As we continue into an uncertain future, few are brave enough to claim they definitively know in which direction property prices are headed. Well, yeah, I mean, it's impossible to predict. It's impossible to predict. It's all over the place, guys. No one knows what's happening. This is the first recession we've had in 28 years. If even if property prices correct by 20%, something decent, or 30%, even 40%, but everything inflates to the bloody moon, would you rather have gotten in on property? I mean, you need to compare it to other assets. Right now, everyone's comparing it to the Australian dollar. What if your purchasing power there gets erased? What if I mean, go to the old-fashioned, go gold, or loaves of bread. I did a rough calc. 60,000 loaves of bread back in the 80s for a house in Melbourne, and now over 200,000. Sure, it was a good suburb, but still. I should look at the Big Mac costs, guys. I need to do the Big Mac inflation index. I think that, because it's a complex good. So, if the downside scenarios of high unemployment and reversing immigration are realized, this would place downward pressure on property prices amid forced sales. They face off against the force of lower interest rates, looser lending standards, and the Morrison government's desire for property prices to remain high. For decades, the Australian love affair with real estate and rising property prices has endured, finding a way to dodge the impact of crisis after crisis. But in the midst of the pandemic and the worst recession in almost a century, perhaps it has finally met a bullet it can't dodge. So what do you think, everyone? What do you think? Do you think Tarek is right? Can real estate find a way to weave its way out of this? Or is our house prices going to crash this year? As always, let me know. Do you think job losses are the definiting factor? Or what else is it going to be? And what other schemes can the government think of? Because remember, they'll just take your future tax revenue, future generations' tax revenue, to prop up that property market. Isn't it awesome having this interventionist government? It'd be nice to just let the market, let it go a little bit. Loosen the leash. We'll have to see. As always, everyone, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Where do you think property is heading? What tricks out of the bag do you think the Morrison government could pull to keep it up? Do you think we'll end up having hyperinflation or very high inflation? Thanks for watching, guys. If you're a fan of the channel and want to support us, there are a few ways you can. Simply engaging with the channel, commenting, sharing, liking the videos. You can support us financially via joining the channel on YouTube or Patreon. Using any of our affiliate links you can find down below, buying our merch from Teespring or HeiseSays, using Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or supporting us via PayPal. Take care, have a great day, I'll see you next time.